a big stumbling block for people is they're trying to create a firm aperture, more core in the sound. So then they start to tighten up the upper lip, especially. And this is a big sound killer.
All right, brother. So day one.
All right, yeah. So welcome to my crib. Thanks for the refurbishing, the help with renovating my studio space.
Dude, my pleasure. Thanks for having me over.
Yeah.
It's been a blast.
Yeah.
Playing some trumpet, getting to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The place I wanted to start is just that, actually. Getting to know each other and getting to ask you some, maybe not super personal off the bat questions, but your story and what kind of story you want to tell to the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you had to, like we talked about persona with social media content and stuff like that, but if you had to describe Kai Sandoval in a little blurb,
sure,
where would you start?
I would say, growing up, I'm an only child, so I know how to entertain myself and keep myself entertained and my brain alive and all that stuff. So growing up, I always felt a lot more introverted and shy, and I would say through music and through performing, I learned how to expand on that, I guess. So yeah, I feel like my personality, my musical personality, is very extroverted, and the way, and I'm not necessarily extroverted all the time, but my playing style can be very extroverted, and that from that kind of grows this, knowing how to have great stage presence, knowing how to dance on stage, playing to the audience, understanding the audience you're playing for, and playing some exciting shit that's going to get them on their feet or wooing or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, that's a big part of my playing, especially because we play the trumpet and it's a loud fucking instrument too. So, we can't be too shy.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I've always had this deeply introverted side that's led to trying to become a mechanical engineer of the instrument and engineering mindset of my body and what my body is doing. Trying to leave a breadcrumb trail for myself so I can teach others how I got here. Or if shit goes wrong and I have a flat tire, I know how to fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I would say, just this duality of, I might come across as a crazy party boy for some people, and then I might just appear as a really deep introverted nerd on the other side too. So
yeah. Well, yeah. I haven't known you that long, but I feel like every human, you have many facets, and depending on what setting we're in, it brings out another layer or facet of ourselves. And it's been really nice to see that. I mean, the first night we met was at Apotec, and I saw some of your extroverted playing.
It was in Philly.
That's right.
First night
that's
we
right.
met.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. It was
Sam Greenfield show.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Good catch. But that was great. Mm-hmm. That was a fun show, and so I heard there as well your extroverted playing, as you called it. But even backtracking to that a little bit, in the trumpet community and trumpet world, there's the legit players, and I would say maybe less extroverted side of the horn that some people live in. Yeah. And you do all of them really well. I mean, you're a very well-balanced player. And,
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I try. It's hard, because as musicians and artists, we are evolving this whole personality of how we express our music. And for audiences like on social media or just the audience you're playing for that night, they only see this very small slice of the pie. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how do you keep yourself happy and your soul fed, and you can still showcase this holistic expression of your music?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right.
And I don't know if I've ever asked you, but what was your first introduction to music?
First introduction, I was 4 years old. Started doing piano lessons after kindergarten. And then me and my parents, we moved up to Oregon when I was 4 and took a little break from piano and came back into it eventually. Studied like classical piano lessons. And then it wasn't until I was like 11, jumping into middle school, that I picked up my dad's old trumpet, and I was just really excited to play with a group of friends and to have this like instant gratification of like playing with your friends, and then they hear your progress the next day, and you want to, this vibe of like, wanting to lift the other people that you're playing with up, and in turn you're lifting yourself up and they're lifting you up. So I didn't get that as much playing piano.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It sounds like a lot of people's first introduction to sports.
Sure.
Yeah, how like that team camaraderie and ability to like be a part of something bigger than yourself. I feel like that step in anybody's journey is huge. So that's awesome that it was trumpet for you. And yeah, me too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
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 Very cool.
How old were you when you started playing?
Like 17,
right.
Seriously. Mm-hmm. I picked up a trumpet younger, but then switched to French horn pretty quickly. Had a lot of fun being the only French horn player. I thought it was like super cool to do something nobody else was doing, even though like sometimes kick myself from switching off the trumpet, even though I ended up back here. It's something I couldn't run away from.
Yeah. No, trumpet is an ultimately better instrument than the French horn.
Absolutely. Yeah. The biggest point I realized was the musical settings that both live in. Trumpet's super versatile. I mean, the Beatles definitely took advantage of the French horn every once in a while. Nate Roos has like...
in more ways than one.
Yeah. It gets used in pop settings or popular music settings nicely, but definitely not as often as the trumpet. And I never see a French horn on tour with any bands that I listen to on the radio or anything like that.
I mean, maybe the good ones.
That's right.
Yeah. I think Josh Bach.
Sorry.
He was the first trumpet player with Ripe.
Okay.
And before I jumped in for him after the pandemic, but he's been touring with Peter Gabriel, and I'm pretty sure he's been like learning French horn, playing a lot of French horn for that too.
Nice.
So yeah.
Usually when I see it, it's a trumpet player who's doubling. There's a guy in DC, Gil Hoffer, who's doing that.
Okay.
And Dr. Chose, the guy I studied with, is good friends with him. And some people can do both. I did both in college, but had many conversations of like, is this holding me back? Am I messing myself up? Jumping back and forth wasn't as seamless as I thought it should be to like try and do both. So it was definitely working two different areas or arenas for me.
Sure. Yeah. I played maybe like 6 or 8 months of French horn in high school, just because we were doing like, the competition thing, and I had to play like a Shenandoah solo with like a low F in there.
Yeah.
And that low F I could like play every other note, like the stratosphere was fine.
Yeah.
But like that low F, I just couldn't relax enough. I had to like shed that, just that note for like a long time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what was the first like professional, I guess, were you playing French horn in school band at that point?
I was just doing it for concert band, but it was like, it was a learning moment.
Yeah.
Nice. Especially like dealing with pitch. Like if you're not hearing the pitch on French horn, you can't play the French horn.
Yeah. Everything's super close together, the partials and intervals and everything.
Yeah.
Chris Castellanos, Vegas horn player with the Boston Brass. Boston Brass came to my high school. I was in middle school at the time, and he did this like little demonstration, and he asked who plays French horn here. And, like a couple kids in high school shot their hands up, and I was, 11, shot my arm up, and I was like, yeah. And he played this open scale, concert F scale, C on horn, and did it all open. And I thought it was the craziest thing, just because, like, those valves are there for a reason. And he's just like, no, I don't need them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've seen trumpet players do it too since, which is really impressive. Like lip bends and everything, when the partials are further apart, is crazier. But yeah. And similarly, heard Jose Sabaja with that group and fell in love with the trumpet. I had that CD to wake up, Latin Nights and You Gotta Try from the Boston Brass. They're like 2 CDs that were out in like, what was that, like 2009?
Okay, cool.
And yeah, woke up with my alarm clock to those playing every day for like 10 years. So Jose Sabaja's like waking me up with his huge sound.
Right.
And yeah, enough of that every morning, and some of it sticks.
Of course. Yeah, you just memorize that sound and that feeling. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so much of learning the instrument is hearing how it's done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's absorbing that vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So progression of listening. Who was your first introduction to a professional trumpet player?
I guess, we went into the movie store back when video stores were still a thing.
Yeah, Blockbuster.
Yeah. And there was a video of Arturo live in Miami, and I took that home and I watched that probably like 3 or 4 times. And that was kind of my first like introduction to like, wow, like this is how the instrument can be played.
Right.
And I mean, even still, like I don't hear anybody playing the instrument like Arturo. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, he was the first big influence. And then from that, just from like watching that video, I was in 6th grade and I learned the A Mis Abuelos. That was like one of the first things I learned on trumpet. Like the second week being in middle school with the horn, I was like, I learned this. Is this okay? And he was like, yeah, that's pretty good, I guess. And then the Godfather theme. That was my other first song.
Nice.
Yeah.
Classics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, so it's always been like that powerhouse, like bravado trumpet that's always attracted me to the instrument.
Yeah.
I dig like players with lots of dexterity. I dig players with very pretty sounds and all of that. But I just feel like, trumpet is like a biblical instrument. Like it's supposed to tell the village that like we're going to war or to like scare the other. It's a powerful instrument.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In so many different cultures throughout time, the trumpet has played such a pivotal role. I mean, from, heralding the royalty of Europe to being a huge factor in the culture and music of like Latin America. And then also, like you said, biblical times. The versatility of the trumpet is insane. And it's, they say the saxophone is closest to the human voice sonically and tonally, but I feel like trumpet is very representative, and maybe I'm projecting hardcore, but trumpet has been super representative of like my personality and my being as a player, but also sometimes I feel like it fits in just as a human too. Yeah. I thought it was funny that you chose the word projecting when we're talking about trumpet playing. Yeah, I don't do that. I play into the stand all the time.
Yeah. Really closed off throat and just,
right.
Yeah,
pinch.
Yeah, pinch it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, like our sounds and feelings go into this tiny little cup, and yeah, it's a megaphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very advanced plumbing.
Very advanced plumbing.
Yeah.
Spiritual plumbing.
Definitely. Speaking of spirituality and stuff, we were talking about breath work a little earlier today, and we've talked about it in the past and everything. How have you tied breath work into your life, and has it influenced your trumpet playing at all?
Breath work. Well, I have to say, just to differentiate, breath work can sound like a very simple term, and it's like, what does that even mean? So, like, you know, breath work, shamanic breath work, holotropic breath work, or like the stuff you see Wim Hof doing.
Yes.
It's like it's not necessarily, you don't do it to like strengthen your lungs.
Right.
And I'm not schooling you on it. I'm just explaining.
I get it. Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah. There's more than just me here.
Yeah. All these cameras. But essentially what you do is you're lying down on the ground and you're doing full body breathing into your stomach, into your chest, and you speed up the tempo gradually and until it becomes a more intense experience, like you're hyper oxygenating your blood, getting rid of the carbon dioxide, and essentially hyperventilating until your body starts to vibrate or let go of some of the stress that you've been holding on to, or just simply to access your full body in its awareness and its feeling. But yeah, it's great for just like breaking up those icebergs of like emotional stress and all of this stuff, whatever we're holding on to. But I have to say, like, after doing a session like that, like the following days feel super easy to access that vibration of the instrument right off the bat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because so many trumpet players, so many wind players, just so many people in general, they hold so much tension up in the chest and in the shoulders and in the neck and everything. So if we can access that with our breath and not feel like we need to force it open all the time, but it's naturally just open, then we're going to have that immediacy of response of the instrument, because we're not getting the air isn't hanging up somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah. Certainly wraps all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of trumpet players that are spiritual, religious, meditative, mindful, and the commonality there is that when your mind and body are brought together, the trumpet is easier.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I know it's very vague, but
I mean, you could go into that for hours.
right.
Yeah. Even when I'm tired, and I'm sure you know this, but even when I'm tired and I'm just like playing a solo or something, my train of thought wants to bounce from thing to thing. And if my idea isn't there, if I'm not hearing it, then the air just stops. Mm-hmm. There's like no follow through because I'm not aligned with my idea or musical statement. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Definitely. Shifting back to you as a person a little bit. So you mentioned that you were in Oregon. How did you get here to New York?
By car.
Beats walking.
Yeah, it does. I was in Boston for 7 years. Did an undergrad and a master's at NEC, and then I had a really nice busy schedule over there. A really nice balanced life, musical variety and everything. But yeah, I just wasn't feeling super challenged at the moment. I was doing a lot of corporate gigs, a lot of weddings. I was playing with a great rock band out there, Aldous Collins Band. And then, at a certain point I said, what's next? What's bigger? Need some challenges. And I also decided I want like an address, but I don't really want to live there most of the time. Yeah. I want to be just traveling, putting myself out there and going a little crazy. Right. So after I did one of my last cruise ship contracts. I did like 2 months, really nice over the winter. That was kind of like my thing in my 20s. I would like over Christmas time, I would take just a vacation on a cruise ship as a fill-in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was coming off of that, and I was super stoked on life and music, and moved to New York, and I just partied for like 6 months straight. Stayed out and tried to make it intentional about like being at musical hangs, meeting musicians. But yeah, I had a small savings, and I just said fuck it to everything else, and I was like, I just want to have fun. I want to play music. I want to meet the right people. So I wasn't so concerned with making a living right off the bat.
Right on.
Yeah, I was like, let's escape the capitalist structure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
So we talked about you getting to New York and getting settled in here. Trumpet-wise, we'll keep it trumpet-related for a second.
Yeah.
Who was your biggest influence on the horn, even if you didn't have a personal relationship with them?
Well, I guess to follow up on Arturo, like, as a young person, I listened to a lot of his stuff, to absorb that sound and feel of how he played. And then when I was 18, it was a summer between freshman and sophomore year of school, through Flip Oaks. I was playing a Flip Oaks Wild thing.
Yeah.
And through Flip Oaks, he was offering lessons with Arturo. So I took him up on it, and I went and stayed with my uncle down in LA for a month, and I took like 3 lessons over the span of that month, and it was like boot camp for trumpet for me. Wrote all my practicing down. I was practicing probably like 4 or 5 hours a day with a break in between, and yeah, so that was a big milestone for me to like meet with Arturo and like study with him and everything. And I've since changed the way that I play, taking little bits and pieces from everything, but I still like that. I still like the power side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other trumpet players that influenced me, not living or haven't met, Freddie Hubbard was a huge one. Love his attitude when he plays. Nothing shy about that whatsoever. Also a very machismo trumpet player. Doc Severinson's playing is like, you listen to that and that just tunes your whole body up.
Yeah.
Like listening to how aligned he is with his body, with the way he plays, and it's beautiful playing.
The track Trumpets and Crumpets.
Trumpets and Crumpets?
Yeah, on his one of his first records. I'm trying to remember the name of the album. But anyway, yeah. He's amazing. I used to play at Getson Severinson, and when I was like trying to sound just like him, and still know nothing about Kira, but knew even less then, and thought that playing somebody's horn was a ticket to sounding more like them.
Yeah, maybe that's half true.
Right.
Yeah.
But very cool. And then personally, who's been the biggest influence in your life as a human?
Oh man. I mean, that's deep.
Too deep for right now?
No, it's not too deep right now. I'll say like musically wise, like studying with Laurie Frank was a huge influence on my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like no matter who you are, if you are seeking help from a teacher, you not only need some guidance on like a technical level of playing the instrument, but you're searching, You're in a place in your life where you are searching for some answers or dealing with shit in some way, and you need that answered in the next step. And Laurie Frank was like one of these teachers. You could show up having a bad day, and she would just talk you through some say, how's it going? How's your week? Let's just talk. Let's calm down. And then let's get into it in like a very nice, calm, smooth way.
Yeah.
That just helped clear all that noise at the beginning of every lesson. And always felt leaving like we just had like a really nice, deep human interaction. We weren't just talking about alternate fingerings or transcriptions or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved how you said quieting the noise
Yeah.
of the week. Yeah. That's a huge thing.
Right.
Especially in a time where you are searching, that noise can be overwhelming and like cacophonous. And yeah. So it's really important to have a mentor at some points more than just a teacher. And it sounds like she was that to you.
Yeah, certainly a mentor. I wouldn't say, I wasn't like going over to her apartment in New York City and having tea with her once a week or something like that. But, 2 years of lessons with her, definitely, yeah, she's a great mentor.
Awesome.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite part of life right now?
Favorite part of life right now? Well, I'm just starting this training regimen that I talked to you about. I signed up for like a 6-week transformation training challenge. So I'm almost a week in, and I'm feeling very energized, also exhausted, and like I'm dusting off my discipline again, writing down like diet and all this stuff. So, I mean, really being physical right now is one of the... I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it, yeah.
Good, you should be. That's a huge thing. I mean, feeling physically capable to me has been so pivotal in like getting out of bed in the morning and just like having a different outlook on certain things for me. So, that's great.
Like doing something hard in the gym and you're like, oh, come on, like, oh, this hurts.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But then you apply that same thing to take out the trash, do the dishes, call this person up you haven't talked to in a long time.
Right.
Schedule things ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. It just makes me feel more empowered, more proactive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I can take on a bigger stress level.
Yeah.
Overall.
Definitely.
Which... these last few years have been the most busy and stressful of my life. Exciting, very exciting, but also the most busy. And if you aren't putting yourself first, if you're not putting your body first, or your diet, or your emotional health, then all you're doing is you're just a rat in the capitalist system on the wheel. And you might be making money, but that doesn't make you feel better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tying it into trumpet and music, the trumpet, I mean, we got two of them, you got more than two of them in this room, but two of them sitting right next to us, and they don't make sound on their own. The instrument is you, and without taking good care of that and the musician behind the horn, it's hard to make music.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
That's right.
Yeah.
Some people, I think, can do it. There's some people I know that are phenomenal musicians, but don't give a lick about health at all. Part of me thinks like, oh my gosh, what would they be like if they were like peaks? I don't know,
peak athletes.
Yeah.
Right.
They'd be unstoppable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we, we're, I don't know, trumpet players, musicians, whatever, freelancers in general, like we have to be so self-motivated to even just practice the horn every day, but also so self-motivated in sticking through it, through thick and thin, when you're not making money, when you're not getting that feedback from the audience or your peers or colleagues or whatever. It's not about getting pats on the back. It's about making baby steps of progress every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, we're fucking lions. You gotta be a lion. You gotta be hungry.
Right.
And when I've been thinking like, oh, just take like a fraction of that pie that I'm dedicating to driving here, there, playing, flying, whatever. Mm-hmm. Taking a fraction of that and just applying it back to reinvest it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing something hard every day, whether that's exercise or maybe something mentally engaging and hard, makes the other aspects of life seem not as hard to me. And that's really helped me, and it sounds like yourself as well, like with the, maybe not monotony, but motivational and discipline aspects of life, to take the extra initiative to, get that third session in on a day that we're not gigging or something, that evening session or something like that. And, or maybe it's a second session or something, that extra thing. And then, oh, well, I already did that hard thing first thing in the morning. Like today, you talked about Monday being a hard day to get somewhere and, be disciplined to do something physical. And then, doing it makes everything else in the day easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah, starting the day with accomplishment. It's the making the bed thing in the military.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think another hang-up for people going back to like spinning our wheels, not knowing, doing too much thinking and not enough doing. We can get hung up on if we are going to hit that second or third practice session of the day, if we don't have gigs or whatever lined up, we can get overwhelmed with, oh, I want to work on this, but I also want to work on this. I want to work on this. Or I just want to play and sound good. And it makes a lot more sense, like in working out or playing music or whatever, just pick a theme, pick one thing to like work on, because you're not going to master it. But as long as you have that intention, just moving forward with intention, then you can make those strides a little easier. And you don't think so much about like, what am I going to do this next session? Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's kind of vague, but
not at all. No, it makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the analogy to working out makes a lot of sense too. Picking a muscle group, let's say, or for trumpet, sticking to one etude book or one exercise even, the amount of time I've spent on like Arbin's 47 in all keys,
Sure. Yeah. And then on that topic, like the key, I find like the key to like music progress, to trumpet progress, is having that theme. And like, say Arbin's 47 is this not insurmountable mountain, but it's this thing that you could keep working at, and it might not ever be perfect, but you can find variations of doing that over the course of a week, and always tie that into every day in your practice somehow. Yeah. So you can see these results, and you're not just throwing darts at the map at random locations, but you're going for this bullseye this week. And then the next week you shift your focus and you find that next bullseye. Yeah,
I don't know if one of the first times we hung out we talked about it, but I think we did, about goal orientation. And when we were figuring out, maybe like when I was asking you how I might fit into your schedule and your life to do this kind of stuff, goal orientation is like how I manage everything, whether it's trumpet, exercise, nutrition, all these things. Goal orientation is like so pivotal to me in how I do any task. Yeah, you've seen me get distracted like 30 times today. But yeah, keeping my eye on the prize for certain things.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, I think we're both doing pretty good at being focused today. We're like, okay, let's make something happen. Don't fuck it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Yeah. We said we're going to do it, so we're doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I did the thing I probably had the most prepared coming in today is actually a game. I didn't give you any preface about it.
Cool.
But it can get heavy quickly.
Okay.
So if you want to veto it, feel free. But it's this game called 567, and it is really an exercise for the mind, and it's great for me to like get to know somebody, and kind of see what makes people tick, why they do what they do, and what motivates them at their core. So I'll ask you a series of what questions, 6 in a row, after I ask you what your biggest aspiration in life is. So, Kai Sandoval, what's your biggest tangible aspiration in life?
And I answer you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Biggest tangible aspiration in life. You know, when I was younger, I used to be more big picture oriented.
Okay.
I'm going to answer your question with something else almost.
Sure.
And like now in life, I'm much more small picture oriented. I'm much more like small goal oriented.
Okay.
Because I want this instant gratification of like setting a goal and achieving it.
Yeah.
And then getting that dopamine rush sooner.
Okay.
But also like being able to like do these manageable steps so I can look back and say, look, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I just did that.
Totally.
Not have this like put this mountain out in the distance and say, you know what? Like I'm going to be at the top of that mountain someday. It's like, okay. But like, how about all that stuff to get to the mountain?
Right.
You know, let's pat ourselves on the back for all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in a lot of ways, like, we are on our own respective mountains. We've all done a lot of shit, a lot of hard shit. We've overcame a lot of things to get to where we are, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
And like my mountain is just different than other people's.
Yeah.
It's not any bigger. It might only be bigger because people perceive their goals and say, I want to do what this person has done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a lot of more things and people that I hold in high esteem and that I want to get to where somebody else is at.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that always I come back to that reminds me is that we're all on our own personal journeys, and we don't have to feel any feelings of FOMO seeing somebody else on social media achieve something that you might want to do, because that's their personal journey and we're out here manifesting our own thing. And there's a reason why we're not quite there yet. And we have to be patient and, you know, be honest with ourselves and just say, you know what, the thing that I need right now, it isn't $10,000 more dollars. It isn't a 6-pack. It's not this or that. It could literally just be calling up an old roommate you had a fight with and resolving it, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe and just doing something like that will bring you to that next step, and you will see more of that landscape more clearly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are I forget what, those base camps on Everest. You know, when you've made it a certain length up Everest, there's like a rest point to check in.
Right.
Yeah. But you're still summiting the mountain. You're still climbing it. Yeah. Yeah. Great answer. But can I reframe the question to maybe still play the game?
Sure. Let's play the game.
Okay. Sorry. Cool. So, just for the sake of the game, if you could pick something tangible, when I played this game for the first time, my thing was I would, in a dream world, my tangible goal would be to, when Bobby Burns Jr. is ready, you know, if he's looking for the stage exit or something, if I could jump into Earth, Wind, and Fire, that would be something in my life where I'd be like, oh my God.
Hell yeah.
That's it. Like, I've some kind of accomplishment. And getting the gig isn't everything. We both know that, you know, there's, I mean, he's incredibly talented, and there are a million people that are more deserving. But for the purpose of this game, something tangible like that.
Sure.
So if there was something like that in your life, what is that for you?
I can't say, like, I don't know, like, my Mount Everest right now, but off the top of my head, one big goal is I'd love to play Red Rocks. Especially with a band where it's not like just like a sensitive singer-songwriter and I'm like playing goose eggs in like a silk shirt or something like that.
Totally.
But like sweating my ass off and like dancing, getting the crowd to like get on their feet and, you know, fucking just playing my ass off.
Yeah.
You know, in a venue like that.
Right on.
In nature, feeling like super alive.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you this, a similar reframing of how you answer 6 times in a row. And then at the end, we'll evaluate. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So what is important to you about playing Red Rocks?
What's important about it? It's one of the world's most like beautiful natural amphitheaters. I don't know if it's natural per se, but it's you know, one of the it's a beautiful venue.
Nice.
All of the live videos I've seen from there, you know, it looks like the crowd's energy is at 10,000 and everyone is so present. And never seen a video of musicians playing there just phoning it in.
Yeah.
You know, taking it for granted.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you can see like a lot of arena concerts or whatever, and it looks like, you know, maybe Christina Aguilera is going through the motions and all these background singers are doing the same thing that they've been doing for a month straight, even though there's like 10, 20, 30,000 people there. But Red Rocks is one of these venues that it looks like people are just genuinely stoked.
Yeah.
Everyone is, yeah.
So what is important to you about playing for people that are excited to be there, you're present on stage, and for these repeated questions, see if you can give me the first thing that comes to mind, fairly short answer.
Okay. I would just say presence and awareness and consciousness. And when you're playing for people, especially if you have 5,000, 10,000 people who are so present being there and they're all watching you, it's like the observer effect. It's like it just makes you feel more alive, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what is important about feeling alive and feeling that observer effect to you?
It's it all wraps back to spirituality, I suppose. Yeah, being present, being embodied, and doing what you do at the highest level. Yeah. And
why do you do what you do at the highest level to the best of your ability?
Because we want to achieve our fullest potential.
Right on.
Yeah.
And what is important to you about achieving your highest potential?
What is important about me achieving my highest potential? Because I don't want anything left on the table. I don't want to have any regrets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would it be like if you had no regrets when you depart?
I suppose it would be pretty painless.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's important about making it through that journey to you?
Making it through that journey?
Yeah.
Doing my best for myself and being able to lift others on the way and just create an all-around better existence for the people that we share this experience with.
Amazing. Beautiful. I'm going to keep going with one more. This is the last one. What is important about sharing that journey and lifting others up and giving others that experience?
Because the separation of you and I and other people is an illusion, and we're all one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. That's the game. Yeah. So the idea is that the first question is kind of to set us on a track. And then those first three, 1, 2, 3, they generally stay kind of superficial. I want to play Red Rocks because it's a cool venue. I want to do X, Y, Z. I want to replace Bobby Burns Jr. with Earth, Wind, and Fire because it's a great band and it's super esteemed position and all this stuff. Stuff that would sound cool at a party or whisper or like yelling into somebody's ear at a bar. A resume patter, that kind of stuff. But the 5, 6, 7, the last 3 questions I asked you were to lift others up around you to, at the end of your life, feel fulfilled and provide other people on earth with this experience that you've been somebody who elevates the people around you and lifts them up. And that's important to you because that's what we're here for. That's what we're put on earth to do. And we're all the same. So those are the deeper, less superficial things that usually come out in the 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
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 I really like that game.
It's powerful.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Big. I didn't want to preface it with like the expectation of emotional stuff, but when I've played it with friends on cruise ships or contracts and stuff, and it's not like a fun game.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I like to call it a game because it's a little more playful than like you want to do this really intense thought exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I really enjoy it. And it resulted in some happy tears and some big tears. And for a bass player on a cruise ship, it was like huge for him. So it's a fun game.
It's great. Yeah. Very cool.
Feel free to steal it. It's this guy Paul Reddick.
Okay.
He's a baseball coach, and he started doing this with people that are not really. Well, he was a baseball coach specifically for pitchers, and so he was trying to figure out why these players are doing what they do. When I was talking about the Patriots earlier today, I was thinking about him and why all these players do what they do. And if you can find out the motivation behind somebody's, hard work and motivation, a little redundant there, then you can really coach them better. You can tap into what really makes them tick. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things that tie into coaching. And we've talked about what you want to give to people teaching-wise. And, I think you have a mind for like that coaching kind of thing as well, lifting others up, building them up. And, that's super powerful to me. I love that kind of thought process of how to help facilitate growth and kind of skip that 1, 2, 3.
Skip the 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, the superficial stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Tap right into what gets us out of bed in the morning, what gets us fired up, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially with students or somebody there to even a friend, just tap into what they're all about.
Yeah, That's right. If you can find their fuel source and then just harvest that fuel source for them, and then just here you go.
Yeah.
You don't need. We'll talk about lip bends, but I'm gonna give you more of that fuel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times that's more important too. Not to say that there's nothing to be gleaned from technique and efficiency on the horn or anything, but I feel like a lot of growth facilitated for me as a trumpet player has come from teachers that have just gotten me really fired up about the trumpet, and then I go and shed and figure something out on my own, and that's been more powerful to me than like, oh, have you tried blowing with a downstream?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right on. All right.
Dig it.
Yeah, didn't mean to get so intense, but thanks for playing that.
I dig it. No, it's cool.
Hell yeah.
I like it. Yeah, I'm up for the ride.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you have upcoming that you're looking forward to trumpet-wise?
Well, Shaghorns were playing at Radagast this Saturday. Radagast is a beer hall in Williamsburg where it's like all the prettiest people in Williamsburg come on out and like get shit-faced and sing along to songs and smash glasses and hopefully are respectful, but sometimes not. But all the time, it's always a party. We've been doing that for like 6 years, almost 7 years. So yeah, that's kind of like our home base. It's the bar I can show up to and like close out the bar for free kind of vibe. So I'm not supposed to say that, I guess. But
Get that out in post.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's like a little thing I'm looking forward to. In general, I'm kind of doing like 5, 6, sometimes 7 gigs a week.
Mm-hmm.
So anything from like Jewish weddings, Jewish events, and Shaghorns. Have some Remember Jones stuff coming up, which that's a great band, great energy, great people. I was touring with this pretty hot Haitian band, but putting that in the back seat at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
How can people get to Williamsburg? Is it a ticketed event?
It's free at Radagast. Yeah, if you can wait in the line outside the beer hall long enough, then you'll get in. And it's free. You can have a big ass beer there, big ass German beer. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what days again? This whole weekend?
It's Saturday 3 to 6.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll be there, but we'll see.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Bring your horn.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Definitely come sit in.
Sick.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And who are in Shaghorns? You want to plug them?
Sure. Yeah. Me and Chris Ott from Hunter Tones run Shaghorns. And and so we cycle through different horn players, but we always try to keep it like the A list, the hottest horn players that we can find. Believe this weekend we've got Mike McGarrell on sax, and we have Morgan Price also on sax, and Steve Duffy has been our bedrock on Sousa, and we try to get Murph Camp as much as we can, who's like a phenomenal drummer in all styles, but also in Latin styles too.
He was drumming with High and Mighty the last time I saw him.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I met Murph like before the pandemic when he was new in town. We were playing like this modern jazz big band rehearsal and gig with Javier Nero, and I was like, this guy's like, not only is this guy like a phenomenal reader and like drummer, but he's like a sick dude, and he was in the Blue Man Group too. So I was like, okay, you're getting in with our boys and doing the brass band thing.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, which is like a very poppy kind of gig, but it's also high level musicianship, a lot of improvising, flexibility in the styles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And you don't have to look like an Ivy Avatar person.
An Ivy.
Navi?
Oh yeah.
Navi? Not. Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
Oh.
Nivy?
Not. I think it's NA''AI or AVI.
Okay.
Niavi.
Oh, okay.
You seen the James Cameron avatars?
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget the name of the race.
Me too.
Yeah.
Would have been helpful.
The blue people, the blue aliens.
Yeah, Blue Man Group joke.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What do you plan on?
What am I playing on?
Yeah.
Gear-wise, Been playing on a trusty X3, Schilke X3. Valve alignment, brass. Got to have the brass valve guides in the Schilkes. If you're working with the plastic valve guides, I know some people say it doesn't like make a difference, but yeah, if you want that core to lock in, and you want that sparkle, you got to have the brass valve guides. Yeah, I'm a diehard on that.
Right on.
Yeah,
I got them at my Bach.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice. And then a little heavy cap on the third valve.
Okay.
Here.
Nice.
And I just got a brace tuning slide that is getting lapped right now. So actually on Monday when we go to Landris, I'm probably going to pick that up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Now when you say lapped, what does that mean?
Like fitted for the tuning slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Is there anything you're shedding right now that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually explain a little bit about what I was feeling on this gig the other day. I brought in a different horn that had a different, probably a little more gap, so it was a little bit tighter up front, and it kind of forced me to play more aligned, more centered, so I wasn't feeling so much back pressure on the right side of my face.
And for context, this is the Lightweight 72?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so then I just played that whole gig like kind of a little bit right down the middle, if not like a little bit to the left. And then the next day I transferred that over to my Schilke, playing with that same alignment. And yeah, I was just noticing a lot more like crispness in the attacks, more fuller sound with less effort. And so yeah, it's always a transitioning journey.
Yeah,
it's always,
absolutely.
Yeah.
We are eternal students of the trumpet game.
Yeah. So maybe I'll demonstrate a little bit here.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can probably just like talk from a distance, and then it'll, if you need to gain something up afterwards.
Yeah.
But this is probably going to be loud, but I don't need to aim like right on center anyways, right?
No, do it.
Should I?
Yeah, definitely aim right at the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Might be just a little bit loud in my ears.
Okay.
Yeah. But nice sound though.
You want any more in your ears? Is that too little?
Maybe just a slight more, yeah.
Got
That's
it.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. So, generally, I usually play a little bit off to my right side, which is actually, I'm kind of leaning on my top lip sometimes a little bit too much.
Okay.
That sounds like this. So, it sounds good. Maybe you could gain it after in the post, like in the editing.
Sure. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way. And then, so this is where I've been winding up the last several days. So that's kind of like right on the center, if not a little bit to the left.
Yeah.
How I perceive it. And then back to kind of over to the right. So I don't know if you can perceive much of a difference, but I'm perceiving a little bit less effort overall.
Yeah, and ultimately that's what's important. If we can work more efficiently and work smarter, not harder. You know, that's the whole name of the game. So if on this gig, when did you realize it? And did you make the change mid-gig, or was it the next day?
I was just kind of doing it naturally on the gig. And then I realized my mouthpiece was in a slightly different spot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I just kind of carried that. But I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. Feels easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't have to work so much from the upper body.
Right.
Just allowing the aperture to just be like a note is right there.
Yeah.
Not a
mm-hmm.
I'm exaggerating. I'm not ever trying to muscle it or anything, but the closer I can get to just like a little just like a kiss, like a squirrel kiss.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Nice, quick, easy response. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, and with response, actually, I have been thinking a lot about response for the trumpet on my own. Do you do breath attacks? Because every time I bring up response to anybody, the first thing they tell me to do is breath attacks.
Yeah, I think that breath attacks are they're not controversial, but they're not like a one-size-fits-all kind of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
When I worked with Arturo, he was really into breath attacks, and I get that for trying to play quieter. So that's a great gauge for if you can start a breath attack and it's just a nice P syllable with no air at the front, then you know you're going in the right direction. But I play a little bit differently these days, and that breath attack isn't necessarily the right gauge. Mm-hmm. Because also with a breath attack, you might be training your lips to actually be a little bit tighter and closer than you need to be on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Playing your mezzo fortes, your fortes, and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you do a similar kind of thing that gets recommended to me when I bring up response to other brass players is free buzzing and buzzing in the mouthpiece. Mm-hmm. And we've briefly talked about it, but do you think this is all in the same vein?
Breath attacks. Yeah, breath attacks and free buzzing and mouthpiece buzzing are not, I don't think that they're all that similar.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a fan of free buzzing, but I don't think it's like the be all end all. Free buzzing, in my mind, is great for warming up the larger muscle groups and learning how to use more air. And of course, when you're free buzzing or mouthpiece buzzing, you're using more tension than you would when you were playing.
Yeah, there's nothing holding your lips there.
Yeah, we wanna lean into the resistance. We want to balance with the resistance of the horn. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of like videos of guys trying to be impressive. And,
yeah.
And they're like,
yeah.
But it shouldn't be like that.
Right.
When you're playing open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure you know, but you want that aperture to allow that air to pass through.
Right.
And if we're in the same position when we're buzzing, and I sound like I'm 10 years old, versus
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard this phrase, but it was one of the biggest takeaways from this talk that Dr. Chose would give about his thoughts on buzzing and things. And the lips don't vibrate consciously. They don't vibrate by choice. They vibrate as a sympathetic response to air passing between the lips. And if anybody's listening to this, apologize if I'm butchering the wording. But yeah, it's a sympathetic response to the air passing between the reeds. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think about it like a blade of grass. The blade of grass isn't vibrating by choice when you put it between your lips and blow over the grass. It's vibrating because air is passing over it.
Right. Yeah, we don't have any control over how our lips are vibrating. Mm-hmm. All we can do is we can set it up for success in order to vibrate more freely.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like thinking of all these muscles like the frame of a snare drum.
Yeah.
And we want it to be sturdy, and we want that frame to support the vibration in the center, so we're not choking it off. A big stumbling block for people is they're trying to create a firm aperture, more core in the sound, so then they start to tighten up the upper lip especially, and this is a big sound killer. Yeah. If they're, I don't know, just an example of tightening up your upper lip too much. It's a very domesticated sound.
Yeah.
The sound doesn't have like edges, like it stops. It does have edges. It stops.
Right.
But that sound, that vibration we should imagine it, all those overtones fading in colors throughout space and time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't want to put a cage in our sound.
Right.
Even at like mezzo piano, we want that to be supported but blossoming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between the when you had that upper lip tension and when you didn't, and it's so much freer. It's way more open.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself falling into any habits when you're really fatigued, or any things that you tend to fall back on that is either helpful or harmful?
Yeah. At this point, where I'm at, what I tend to lean on more when my lips get fatigued, when my corners get fatigued, when my body gets fatigued, I lean on my tongue arch more, and this can mean like cutting off some of the overtones just in order to make a note pop out when you need it to happen. Or it could be going sharp too. My tongue and my tongue arch, I always want to have like a very tight grasp on that gas pedal. I always want to know where it's at, so I can do some acrobatics, move around, but I know where my tongue is at. If I want to do like a little flip, if I want to change register dramatically.
Yeah.
Or dynamics. So, an example of using my tongue arch to a detriment too much.
Mm-hmm.
So my tongue is a little too far up in my mouth. I'm very tight on that gas pedal. I have access to it, but I'm not allowing that oral cavity to sing the way it wants, which means I'm stifling some of the vibration because I want more control. And that will happen later on in very heavy playing situations.
Right.
So ideally what we're going for is we want to grip on that gas pedal on the oral cavity, the tongue arch, without cutting all that off. And like a way it was explained to me very simply and very nicely from Bobby Shu, he was like, yeah, the tongue is great. The oral cavity we want to pay attention to that, but we want to keep a singing syllable at all times when we are playing. And he said a way to overcome that is start that motion from your jaw. Start that motion first from your jaw, because that jaw, you don't have to clench the jaw. All you have to do is just slightly chew the airstream, and then we're still thinking even with the jaw all the way closed, with the teeth closed, we can still have a singing syllable.
Right.
So at all times we want that centered core, that expansive overtone structure at all times. So that's why I start with the bend before I do that. So those tongue flips, the way I get into that, the way I dial in my tongue is by just trilling between small intervals first. And then that dials in the grip of the oral cavity, and I know if the sound is getting cut off or I'm squeezing too much, I need to focus on that air. Keep that air passing through.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'm going to chew it closed.
Yes. I've never thought about it in that wording, but I do a lot of lip trills before heavy shows to make sure air is flowing right, and just feeling that flow of air between partials and the space in between and everything. But yes, exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you worded it much more eloquently.
I said a bunch of words. I don't know how eloquent it was, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I've been... I feel it's not like the final building block or stumbling block for everybody, but it for a lot of professional players, we work in the... Like, we're just blowing through metal, and we're just trying to make the muscles work for us for so long, for a decade, for 2 decades, for a lifetime, whatever. And it's this understanding how to manipulate the oral cavity with an open throat that I think is kind of the final stumbling block of a lot of brass players. Yeah.
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 Very cool.
Yeah.
There's seemingly a similar vein. I was listening to a podcast about trumpet on the way here, actually, getting the spirit, you know. This player was talking about how we focus so much on improvisation and specifically in academia, teaching at a lot of universities, improvisation and a lot of musical ideas, theory, harmony, and all these advanced knowledges of music, and not necessarily a pretty sound. And I think that goes hand in hand with the openness and kind of singing nature that the trumpet classically has. Not classical music necessarily, but that classic trumpet sound. We were talking about the bravado that the trumpet can have earlier.
Sure.
And that ringing that, you know, we think of with a lot of, I think our favorite trumpet players that we were talking about earlier, and all the greats have this huge presence in their sound, and comes from this insane openness. And physically, that oral cavity can really close things off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a matter of body awareness, and for a lot of people, it starts with body awareness just in the diaphragm and letting go of tension up here, and then further, the next step obviously is knowing when you're squeezing your throat too closed or when your mouth is too closed, or if your aperture is getting squeezed shut. Yeah, which takes a lot more subtle, awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
And the question I have here is, when you're thinking about those things, is that your practice session and the gig? Or when you're on a hit, does all that go out the window and you trust that like you've practiced enough of this at home, you don't necessarily think about how air is flowing through your body? Or are you?
I'm definitely conscious of it on the gig. I'm putting music first. I'm putting tuning, music, phrasing, articulation, improvisation, musical ideas. All of that stuff is first. And then if something isn't working, or if I find my sound not very pleasing, then I come back to that.
Gotcha.
I come back to that awareness of, am I inhaling with an open throat? When is my tongue in a nice neutral position? Am I holding tension in my shoulders or my neck? And do I have good posture? So yeah, I'm always coming back to that. But especially when you're on a gig, like a horn section or something that really matters, where your sound is blending, I always want that centered sound with lots of overtones. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is like it's a practice that takes a lot of time, and many hours in the practice room, so you can close out all those other distractions on the gig and then just come back to playing perfectly.
Yeah, making music.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I make the joke that, I only got a couple brain cells rocking around up here, and I can only devote them to so many things, and music takes up both of them. Yeah. But it's nice to hear you balancing them. And